I traded 30 years of my life to make a deal with a deity, all for the sake of helping my boyfriend, who had been paralyzed for 5 years, stand on his feet again. I thought that once he could walk, we would get married and live a happy life together. But instead he proposed to his first love right in front of me and all of our friends. I couldn't help but feel shattered. I had taken care of him for 5 whole years. She hadn't even shown up once during all that time. How could he treat me like this? When I questioned him, my boyfriend Nathan looked at me with a sneer and said, "You and I were never real. I only kept you around as a free caretaker. You've seen me at my most pathetic. How could I still have feelings for you?" His so-called true love, Emily, also gave me a sarcastic smile and said, "I really should thank you, sis. If it weren't for you being so generous, there wouldn't have been a medical miracle, would there?" I wasn't even angry when I heard that, because the deal I made with the deity came with a 7-day, no questions asked return policy. This morning before I left the house, Nathan mysteriously told me there would be a surprise tonight. He asked me to dress up nicely and head to a small villa in the suburbs. I knew he was planning to propose. After all, over the past 5 years, I had brought up marriage countless times, but Nathan always turned me down. "I'm a cripple now. If I marry you, I'll ruin your life," he'd say. "Unless I can walk again, I won't drag you down." Yesterday, his legs, paralyzed for 5 years, finally recovered. He could stand again. I was beyond excited and full of anticipation. I went out and bought a new outfit, carefully did my makeup, and made sure every detail was perfect before heading to the villa. As soon as I stepped inside, I heard a lot of familiar voices. From their backs I could tell they were our friends and classmates. Everyone was chatting excitedly, saying things like, say yes, and I believe in love again. They're meant for each other and this is so touching. I'm actually jealous." My heart felt warm listening to them. It seemed they were rehearsing the proposal. I hadn't expected Nathan to put so much effort into it. Honestly, I never thought we needed all this ceremony, but I was still deeply moved. I felt like Nathan really cherished me. All the effort I had poured in over the past 5 years hadn't been for nothing. All my sacrifices were finally being rewarded. With tears in my eyes, I walked into the main hall. The words "I do" were on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't get them out, because Nathan really was proposing. Just not to me. He was kneeling on one knee, his back to me, and proposing to Emily. "Emily," he said emotionally, "this proposal is 5 years late, but my love for you has always been true. It wasn't because I stopped loving you that I stayed away. I just didn't want to drag you down. Every minute, every second of the past 5 years, I dreamed of standing up again so I could give you the happiness you deserve. Thankfully, heaven has answered my prayers and given me a chance to make that dream come true. Emily, will you marry me?" Emily was facing me, so she saw me first. Glanced at me with a smug, taunting look before turning back to Nathan and saying, "I will." The room burst into tears, but I felt like I'd been thrown into an ice-cold abyss. 5 years ago in the night, Nathan had insisted on driving over 100 kilometers to see me, saying he had a surprise. I waited until morning, but the surprise never came. Instead, I got a call from his mother, who screamed at me through the phone, practically wishing she could reach through it, and strangled me. "You made him go out that night, didn't you? Why did you do it? Do you even realize what you've done? Because of your little whim, my son got into a car accident. The doctor said his spine was injured. He'll never walk again." It was only then that I slowly pieced it together. Nathan had gotten into a crash from driving while exhausted. His life wasn't in danger, but he was paralyzed from the waist down. He'd never be able to stand again. And she was right, it was my fault. I should have stopped him. His mother hated me with everything she had. I knelt in front of their house for days before she even allowed me to see Nathan. When I finally did, he looked so worn out, but he still tried to comfort me. "Don't cry," he said. It was my fault, I was the one driving tired. This has nothing to do with you anymore, it's just a shame. I'll never be able to carry you up a mountain again. Or spin you around in my arms. His words cut through me like a knife. To make up for my mistake, I gave up the opportunity to study abroad and chose to stay by Nathan's side. I accompanied him to every hospital and specialist we could find. I even taught myself traditional massage, therapy and acupressure. It was exhausting, but I embraced it. I never complained. Poured my heart and soul into Nathan. Everyone, family, friends, told me I was a fool. Even his mother, who once despised me, slowly came around. She began treating me like a daughter-in-law. Yesterday, when Nathan's legs started to regain feeling and he miraculously stood up, I thought I had finally made it through the storm and reached the light. But now, this proposal right in front of me felt like a slap in the face. If Nathan loved Emily this much, then what were the past 5 years? Just a joke. I struggled to keep my emotions in check, taking deep breaths over and over. But the fury still rose uncontrollably. I stormed forward, staring Nathan down. This is the surprise you wanted to give me. Only then did Nathan realize I had witnessed the entire proposal, but there was no guilt in his eyes. Instead, he sneered. Yeah, isn't it a surprise? Judging by your face, you look shocked enough. Emily and I are engaged. That, to me, is the real surprise. Don't you all agree? Laughter erupted throughout the villa. Several people chimed in, agreeing with him. I ignored the crowd, their petty mockery irrelevant. I kept my eyes on Nathan. I took care of you for 5 years. 5 whole years. I gave everything without complaint. Every time I heard there was a good doctor somewhere, I went out of my way to take you. I studied nutrition, learned massage and therapy. Gave up school. I barely even stepped outside. I didn't sleep through the night for years. You told me, you said that once you could stand again, you would marry me. Why did you lie to me? Why would you treat me like this? I tried hard not to cry, but when I thought about everything I'd been through over the past 5 years, the tears rolled down my face anyway, and my voice started trembling. The crowd that had been laughing just moments ago went silent. They looked at me, speechless. Nathan furrowed his brow, then let out a snort like it was all a joke. You believed that nonsense? If I hadn't said I'd marry you or told you I loved you, would you have taken such good care of me? Think about it. Over the last 5 years, you saw me at my worst. I had no dignity left in front of you. And you, messy hair, always smelling like disinfectant and bodily waste. Just looking at you made me sick. You really thought I would marry someone like that? This was the same man, the same face, who just days ago had thanked me for everything I'd done, said how lucky he was to have met me, said I was the best gift the universe had given him. And now he was saying the cruelest, most hurtful things I'd ever heard. Seeing the look on my face, Nathan only became more arrogant. Well, it's true, isn't it? Just seeing you reminds me of how those 5 years were worse than living like a dog. Honestly, this breakup and this proposal should have happened 5 years ago. Froze. A woman nearby muttered, he's right. I opened my mouth to respond, but Nathan cut me off before I could say a word. That night I drove out to find you. It wasn't for some grand surprise. I just figured out how I really felt. I realized I loved Emily. She's kind and compassionate. A girl with real integrity. She didn't want to come between us. Didn't want to be the other woman. That's why I rushed to find you that night. I wanted to break up with you in person. I couldn't even think of what to say. The words came out automatically. Then why didn't you just tell me that morning? Why did you say it was a surprise? For once, Nathan actually looked a little guilty. I did plan to tell you the truth and break up with you. But Emily was right. You loved me so deeply, Nathan said, that no matter what I said, you wouldn't believe me. That's why I had to let you witness me proposing to Emily with your own eyes. Only then would you give up completely and stop clinging to me. Hearing that, I could only laugh. So you're saying you were the one who suffered these past 5 years? Nathan nodded. I had to live. Like a useless cripple every single day, still trying to please you, putting on a fake relationship with you while I couldn't be with the woman I truly love. Of course I suffered. Couldn't hold it in anymore. I burst out laughing. When he first got injured, I used to resent fate for being so cruel. But now I see it wasn't cruel enough. A man like him shouldn't have just been paralyzed. He deserved to die. Emily gave me a sideways glance, her tone saccharine and fake. Jasmine, don't you think that was a little harsh? I admit it wasn't fair for Nathan to treat you that way. But is that really a reason to curse him to die? We're both really grateful for what you've done for him. Truly, we haven't forgotten and we never will. But gratitude doesn't mean he has to marry. You right. By that logic, every nurse in a hospital would need to get married once a month. She smiled, looking smug. Honestly, Jasmine, I think you just overestimated your worth. If a man really loved you, would he ever be willing to drag you down with him? Haven't you heard the saying? The greatest love is letting go. Most of the people here were close to Nathan, so as soon as Emily finished speaking, they all chimed in support of Lee. Exactly, don't guilt-trip people with your sacrifices. Sure, Nathan was the one driving that night, but if it weren't for him trying to break up with you, would he have gotten in that accident? You keep talking about the 5 years you gave him, but didn't he suffer those same 5 years too? This is real life, not some soap opera. What you thought he owed you a lifelong commitment in return. Seeing that everyone was now siding with her, Emily grew even more confident. After the crowd had their say, she added, "You've been going on and on about how you took care of Nathan for 5 years. What are you saying? Do you want us to pay you like a live-in nurse or something?" Nathan clearly had it all planned. He pulled a bank card out from his pocket. "Don't worry, my family isn't short on money, and I'm not some ungrateful bastard. I've done the math. 5 years at $3,000 a month comes out to $180,000. I'll give you $200,000. Consider it a lump sum payment for everything you did for me. From now on we go our separate ways. No more ties between us." Maybe to prove just how serious he was about cutting me off, Nathan didn't even hand me the card himself. He gave it to Emily and asked her to pass it to me. Emily held the card with a smug little smile. "But Jasmine, you didn't take care of Nathan for the money, did you? You wouldn't want this money, right? Even though everything I did over the past 5 years came from the heart." At this point I wasn't about to act noble. I wasn't going to turn down the money out of pride. So I grabbed the card straight out of Emily's hand and smiled coldly. "Thanks." The room buzzed again with voices. People started murmuring about how all I cared about was money, saying things like, "Good thing the miracle happened or Nathan would have been stuck with her forever." And she finally showed her true colors. Nathan shouted at me across the room. "That's right. Thank God for the miracle. If not for that, I'd be chained to you for life." Just thinking about it makes me want to scream. I didn't stop walking. I didn't look back. Not until I got into my car did I finally start laughing. Loud, almost hysterical laughter. 'Cause Nathan had no idea. His ability to stand again wasn't the result of some miracle of modern medicine. No, what happened to him was nothing short of divine intervention. Over the past few years I had prayed nearly every single day, begging for Nathan to walk again. And just 2 nights ago I had a dream where I encountered a god. The god told me that if I was willing to give up 30 years of my life, he would make Nathan walk again. I didn't hesitate for a second. Signed the contract immediately. It transformed into a thin red thread that wrapped around my wrist. Once the exchange was complete, once the red thread disappeared, the deal was complete. I had thought it was just a dream, but the very next day, Nathan actually stood up. At the time, I didn't feel any regret or fear. I simply wanted to cherish the little time I had left and live a good life with him. I never imagined that my sincerity would turn out to be worth so little to him. Thinking of that, I opened the glove compartment, took out a small pair of scissors, and cut the red string still tied around my wrist, the symbol of the contract. Nathan and Emily were so passionately in love that the very next day after the proposal, they went and registered their marriage. It wasn't that I was particularly interested in keeping track of them. It was just that Emily was a minor internet celebrity and a former classmate of mine, so the algorithm kept pushing news about her to my feed. Their marriage even made some local headlines. Maybe it was to stir up some hype and grab more sponsorships, but the two of them clearly paid for press coverage and trending hashtags. In their official statements, Nathan's paralysis wasn't due to falling asleep at the wheel, but from a car accident he got into while protecting Emily. The narrative claimed that over the past 5 years, Emily never once gave up on Nathan. She cared for him, stayed by his side and helped with massage and physical therapy. That's why, as soon as Nathan could stand again, the very first thing he did was propose to her. As for me, I was nothing more than a stranger. I didn't appear in a single article. The story went viral online. One popular, relationship-focused livestream even invited the two of them on air. I did the math. Nathan's leg should have been fully healed by now, so I watched the livestream. On the show, Nathan dabbed at his eyes with a tissue. They say real men don't cry easily, but if you were me, if you were lucky enough to meet someone like her and to experience such a miracle, you'd cry too. Emily shook her head slightly and said, "This is just what I should do. Don't say 5 years, even 10, 20, 50 years. I wouldn't mind taking care of you." The chat exploded with comments, and the host had tears in their eyes. "This is so moving. It's only because you two truly love each other that such a miracle could happen. I know your dream, Mr. White, was to one day lift Emily into your arms again. So for the final part of today's show, Mr. White, would you please stand up and give Miss Emily a hug?" Nathan nodded, planted his hands on the sofa and tried to stand, but almost immediately his expression changed. "My legs, I can't feel my legs." Emily was stunned for a second, then laughed awkwardly. "Nathan, stop messing around. We just had a checkup yesterday. The doctor said your legs are totally normal. How could they be numb?" Then something seemed to dawn on her and her eyes lit up. She looked at Nathan with a hint of excitement and said in a faux-concerned voice, "Maybe you were just sitting too long and they've gone a little numb. Why don't I massage them for you? Let everyone see how I've been taking care of you these past 5 years." I couldn't help but laugh. It was clear that Emily thought Nathan was putting on an act, that he was pretending to have lost feeling in his legs again just to set her up for another heartwarming scene, showcasing how lovingly she cared for him. She knelt down and started massaging him clumsily without any technique. Most of the live stream chat was full of praise for her, but some viewers who actually understood massage started to question her skills. Didn't she say she studied massage? This doesn't look like she knows what she's doing. Looks more like PR than physical therapy. The host noticed the negative comments and quickly tried to steer things back on track by showering her with more compliments. They turned to Nathan and asked eagerly, "So Mr. White, how are you feeling?" But Nathan was clearly panicking. He wasn't paying attention to the host or to Emily anymore. He suddenly shouted, "Shut up, shut up. Can't any of you understand plain English? I said I can't feel my legs. I don't feel anything." Then he shoved Emily away roughly. "Get your hands off me. Where's my phone? Where is it? I need to call Jasmine. She'll know what's happening. She has to know." The live stream descended into chaos. Even the host, clearly overwhelmed, had never seen anything like it before. The live stream had no choice but to end abruptly. And almost the moment it did, my phone started ringing non-stop. It wasn't until the third call came through that I finally calmly picked it up. Nathan was frantic on the other end, completely forgetting that just days ago he'd sworn we'd never speak again, that we'd die as strangers. Now he demanded, "Why haven't you been answering your phone?" Before I could say a word, he cut me off impatiently. Forget it. I don't have time to argue. I don't know what's going on. My legs, they've gone numb again. The doctors don't know what's happening either. You need to come to the hospital. You know my condition best. Hurry up and tell them how you used to do the massages. That's the only way. They'll figure out what's going on. I knew I had no obligation to go to the hospital, but I couldn't resist the urge to watch the chaos unfold. So I hung up and headed straight there, using the address Nathan had sent me. When I arrived at the hospital room, I heard several doctors gathered around Nathan's bed discussing his condition. These test results are exactly the same as the ones from the past 5 years. There's been no change whatsoever. But with results like this, there's no way you should have been able to stand in the first place. Are you sure you actually stood up a few days ago? Was it a dream or a hallucination? Do you have any proof? Nathan's mother stood by the bed, clearly distressed. It wasn't a hallucination. He really did stand up. We all saw it with our own eyes. Do you think it could be related to the massages? His girlfriend massaged him every day for the last 5 years. Then all of a sudden one day he just stood up. Maybe it's because he hasn't been massaged in the past few days that he can't stand anymore? One of the doctors nearly laughed. Massage. This is a spinal cord injury we're talking about. Massage at most provides some comfort, psychological support maybe, but there's no way it could make someone stand again. Just then Nathan spotted me. Jasmine, get over here, tell the doctors about my condition. I didn't refuse. After all, there's nothing more painful than giving someone hope and then taking it away. So I briefly explained my massage techniques to the doctors. One of them looked at me with genuine respect and nodded. Your technique isn't far off from a trained traditional practitioner. Clearly you put in a lot of effort. Then he added, but these massages have nothing to do with spinal recovery. What you were doing couldn't have helped. Mr. White, stand up. Nathan's face turned pale. He asked again and again. Then how did I stand up? How do I stand up again? The doctor shook his head. I don't know how you managed to stand before. What I do know is that, given your condition, it's medically impossible for you to ever walk again. Nathan's mother staggered, then rushed after the doctors, pleading with them down the hallway. Nathan looked devastated, on the verge of tears. After a long pause, he looked at me. You must feel pretty satisfied now, huh? I can't stand anymore, so now you get to take care of me again. Well, get me a glass of water. I'm thirsty. I casually walked over, picked up a bottle of water, unscrewed the cap and took a sip myself. Nathan, the only reason I came to the hospital was to see the spectacle. I didn't come here to take care of you. Nathan was stunned. He clearly couldn't believe I had just refused him outright. I smiled and went on. You said it yourself. You can't even stand the sight of me, but you have money, you have a wife, so either hire someone to take care of you or let your wife do it. She did say she was happy to care for you for 5 years, 10 years, even 50. What are you worried about? Nathan now knew I'd seen the live stream. He was at a complete loss for words. That's when I realized Emily wasn't there. So I said, where is that wife of yours? The one who supposedly never left your side for 5 years. Just as the words left my mouth, Emily's voice came from behind me. Where did I go? Obviously, I went to gather evidence of your crimes. I turned around to see that she wasn't alone. Behind her were several police officers and a few doctors. Before I could react, Emily pointed straight at me. Officers, it's her. Jasmine. Arrest her. Froze. Arrest me. What did I do? Emily let out a cold laugh, but didn't even look me. She turned back to the officers and said, she poisoned my husband out of spite, all because she couldn't handle losing him. She made my husband paralyzed again, even though he had fully recovered. You have to arrest her. Emily was practically hysterical, trying to charge at me in rage. So it was you. Nathan's mother screamed. I should have known. How could someone suddenly go from standing to paralyzed again for no reason. It was you all along. You knew Nathan was trying to break up with you 5 years ago, so you deliberately caused the car accident. After the crash, my son was paralyzed, and you pretended to take care of him while actually hurting him. Now that he's seen your true colors, you poisoned him. How can you be so cruel? Nathan seemed to come to the same conclusion. That's right, it all makes sense now. Told you. I wanted to break up, and you didn't even fight me. When Emily and I got our marriage certificate, you didn't cause a scene. Even when we erased your contributions online and lied about everything, you stayed quiet. Someone like you, who supposedly loved me so much, how could you just stand by while I married someone else? The only explanation is that you poisoned me. You thought that if I was paralyzed again, I'd have no choice but to come crawling back to you. I rolled my eyes inwardly. These two really missed their calling as screenwriters. Even the police looked exasperated. Do you have any evidence to support these accusations? Because if this is just speculation, we can't proceed. Emily smiled smugly. Oh, I have evidence. The day after Nathan recovered, I took him to the hospital for a full checkup. The doctor said everything was fine, so when his legs went numb again, I immediately went back to the same doctor. They can testify that Nathan's legs were fully functional. If we do a complete medical screening, I'm sure we'll find out what kind of poison she used. Then she looked at me with a twisted smile. Jasmine Wu, I suggest you confess now. If you tell us what you used and offer compensation, we might consider issuing a letter of forgiveness. Otherwise, this is attempted poisoning. You could spend the rest of your life in prison. I didn't even bother defending myself. Explaining anything to Emily would be pointless. She never listens. And honestly, if I hadn't made the deal with that deity myself, I wouldn't believe it either. No one would think a paralyzed man could suddenly recover, only to relapse days later. So instead of arguing, I calmly sat down on the nearby couch. Then go ahead. Do the tests right here in front of your doctor and the police. Let's find out if I poisoned anyone. The three of them looked nervous at how confident I was, but they still insisted on moving forward. Doctors were called. After a long explanation and a review of past reports, they still pushed for a full toxicology screening. They drew blood, ran multiple tests, again and again, but the results showed no signs of poisoning. Everything came back completely normal. The only abnormality was the same spinal damage that had always been there. With this solid evidence, Emily could no longer accuse me of poisoning Nathan. Both hospital reports confirmed I was innocent, so I stood up and walked out in front of all three of them, feeling proud. After I left the hospital, my phone started blowing up with texts from Nathan and calls from his mother. At first, they were still acting self-righteous, insisting that I return to take care of Nathan. This is your responsibility, they said. You promised you'd always be there for him. I didn't get mad. I actually laughed and replied, wow, you really believed I meant all that? You're allowed to say things you don't mean. But I'm not. Besides, what does his accident have to do with me? Why don't you blame the road, or the guardrail, or the mountain while you're at it? When they realized I wouldn't give in to emotional blackmail, they cursed me for several days. But Nathan, now paralyzed again, had become increasingly irritable. No caretaker could stand working for him. Neither his mother nor Emily had the ability or the patience to care for someone in his condition. So eventually, they started begging. Especially Nathan. His attitude flipped completely. The voice messages he sent sounded like he was about to cry, full of desperation. Jasmine, he said honestly, I always knew I'd be paralyzed again. That proposal, it was just a performance. Please come back. Let me explain everything. If you saw me now, Nathan said in a hoarse voice, you definitely feel sorry for me. Emily and my mom don't know how to take care of people. And the caretaker treats me terribly. But no matter what either of them said, I didn't return to the hospital, because I had other things to do. 5 years ago, I'd been accepted into an art university abroad, but because of Nathan, I gave it up. After Nathan proposed to Emily, I reached out to that university again. Though the full scholarship was no longer available, with the $200,000 he gave me, I could still afford to go study abroad. Once I had everything packed and all my paperwork ready, I was just about to leave until I saw Nathan's car parked outside the gate of my apartment complex. As soon as I stepped out, his mother rushed over to block my way. "Jasmine, finally, I've been waiting for you. What I said to you before, I didn't really mean it. I was just too worried. Please, don't take it to heart. To be honest, you've always been the one I liked most. Even though you and Nathan never got married, I've always seen you as my daughter-in-law. You're like a daughter to me. Nathan hasn't eaten or slept properly these past few days. He really wants to see you. Please just go talk to him." She pulled me toward the car. Sitting inside was Nathan. It had only been a month, but he looked like he'd lost at least 20 pounds. His eyes were sunken and he clearly hadn't been sleeping. The moment he saw me, tears began falling from his eyes. "Jasmine, how could you be so heartless? Just because I said a few harsh things, you're really going to ignore me forever?" Honestly, found it funny. "Nathan," I said, "Emily is a good woman. You married the good woman. Why are you bothering the villain now? And don't forget, you once said just looking me made you sick." Nathan's expression shifted with frustration, but the reality of having no one to care for him had humbled him. He gave an awkward smile. "Jasmine, after everything that's happened, I've finally seen the truth. Emily, she's nothing like what I imagined." The moment it was confirmed I wouldn't walk again, she moved out and left me with divorce papers. And it's not just that she wants a divorce, she's asking for half my assets. I have to admit, hearing that was satisfying, though not exactly surprising. "Nathan," I said, "as much as I enjoy hearing all this, I don't have time to sit around listening to your problems. So let me ask you, what does any of this have to do with me?" For a moment, Nathan looked completely stunned. Then he said, "Jasmine, can't you tell? I came here to get back together with you. I'm divorcing Emily. I want to be with you. You're the only one I truly want to spend my life with." His mother quickly pulled out a ring from her bag. Even with just a quick glance, I recognized it. It was the same engagement ring Nathan had given Emily. Nathan held the ring up, eyes brimming with tears. "Jasmine Wu, I know I'm not perfect, but nobody is. I've made mistakes, but everything that's happened made me realize who I truly love. I've seen the difference between you and Emily now. You're the only one who feels like home. So will you marry me? For the rest of our lives, I'll love you. Truly, I'll be loyal to you." This was the proposal I'd once dreamed about. For 5 years, I had never once resented Nathan for being paralyzed. I had imagined marrying him more times than I could count. But now that the dream was actually happening, it made me sick to my stomach. I let out a cold laugh. "Nathan, do I look like a garbage disposal to you? When you were able to walk, you went chasing after your so-called true love. Now that you're paralyzed and Emily's ditched you, you come crawling back, thinking I'll be your free live and nurse again. You've got some nerve." He clearly hadn't expected me to reject him. After all, no one knew better than him how deeply I used to love him. But this wasn't the time for anger. So Nathan forced a smile and said, awkwardly, "Jasmine, don't misunderstand," Nathan said quickly. "I'm not asking you to come back as caretaker. I truly believe the miracle that happened to my legs came from your love. So if we get back together, another medical miracle will happen. I know it." I almost laughed out loud. "Nathan, what you're saying sounds completely ridiculous. But I have to admit you're right." Nathan looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I figured it was finally time to tell him the truth. So I smiled and said, "Under normal circumstances, your legs were never going to recover. The only reason you were able to stand was because I traded 30 years of my life for your legs. As unbelievable as my words were, Nathan and his mother only paused briefly before accepting them. They must have already looked into his condition thoroughly over the past few days. And by now they knew scientifically there was no way his legs should have healed. So it wasn't hard for them to believe me. The moment Nathan processed what I said, his eyes lit up. I knew it. I knew it was you, Jasmine. That's amazing. You just need to use more of your life to heal. My legs again. I promise this time I won't go back to Emily. I'll love only you. His mother nodded eagerly. Yes, Jasmine. 30 years may seem like a lot, but what's the point of living that long anyway? Isn't it better to die at your most beautiful age? That way Nathan will remember you for the rest of his life. Death isn't the end. Being forgotten is. We'll never forget you. Please do the exchange again. Honestly, I expected them to say something like that. So I wasn't surprised in the slightest. Nathan, I said calmly, forget 30 years. Even if it were just 30 seconds, I wouldn't do it. I already wasted 5 years of my life on you. I'm not giving you 30 more. But I glanced at his mother. If you're willing to trade your 30 years, I can help arrange it for you. Nathan wasn't stupid. He knew full well I wasn't going to help him again. So he turned to his mother, grabbing her hand. Mom, please help me. Being stuck in this bed feels worse than death. I'm not even 30 years old yet. Please just help me. You always said you wanted me to be happy. You said it's better to die young and beautiful. If you died from me, I'd never forget. Without hesitation, his mother refused. I'm already old. Giving up 30 years would mean I'd die tomorrow. No way. I'm not doing it. My life is mine. Why should I give it up for someone else? Realizing what she just said, she quickly clamped her hand over her mouth. I didn't say much in response. I simply whispered under my breath, hypocrite. Then, while Nathan and his mom argued, I quietly walked away. I boarded my flight without issue and finally arrived at the university abroad to continue chasing my dreams. Still, because I had so many mutual acquaintances with Nathan and because of Emily's influence or status, I inevitably heard about what happened after I left. To pressure Nathan into the divorce, Emily tried everything: threats, bribes, and manipulation. Nathan hesitated for a long time, knowing that a divorce now meant losing both his money and reputation. Eventually, he opened a live stream of his own. On it, he confessed that I had been the one caring for him throughout his 5 years of paralysis, and that Emily had done nothing. He also admitted that the false press statements online had all been Emily's idea. Emily's reputation took a nosedive. Everyone turned on her. In an effort to salvage her image, she started live streaming too. What followed was a public slugfest between the two of them, each airing the other's dirty laundry like fighters in a ring. Nathan accused Emily of interfering in his past relationship. Emily retaliated by calling him heartless and ungrateful. In the end, it was mutual destruction. Emily's account was banned, her reputation in ruins. She had no choice but to disappear from the spotlight and move back to the countryside to recover. As for Nathan and his mother, their relationship was permanently damaged by the whole lifespan for legs incident. Nathan believed his mother didn't truly love him, that even when he was paralyzed, she didn't take care of him, and when she had a chance to help him walk again, she did nothing. His mother, on the other hand, called Nathan selfish. I gave you life once, she said. Why should I give up my own just so you can walk? They completely fell out. Nathan ended up with no wife and no mother, left alone, struggling through life. Based on what I remembered about taking care of him, I could confidently say that kind of life was worse than death. Even though I had wasted 5 years of my life taking care of Nathan, everything I went through during those 5 years had completely changed me. And during that time, whenever I had a spare moment, I painted, practiced constantly, and my skills improved significantly. As my professor once put it, your earlier work was technically good, but it had no soul. But after everything you've been through, your art finally has soul. After graduating from university, I was able to launch several successful art exhibitions with the help of my professors. One of those exhibitions, Visions of the Divine, sparked a huge wave of attention, going viral and generating intense discussion. That one show launched me to fame and established me as a well-known artist both at home and abroad. Maybe that's just how life works. When one door closes, another opens in an unexpected way. Thank you for taking the time to read this story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like and share in the comments. Remember, history is a witness to the past, a light of truth, a living memory, a teacher of life, a messenger of antiquity, and see you soon.